In a peaceful village called Eku, there lived a young boy named Efemena. Efemena was known all over the village for his love of adventure. He had a best friend named Ivie, who was always by his side. Together, they explored every corner of the village, from the thick forest to the clear, flowing rivers. One sunny afternoon, as Efemena and Ivie were playing by the river, they heard a strange noise coming from the forest. It sounded like a low, deep hum. "Did you hear that, Ivie?" Efemena asked, his eyes wide with excitement. "I did," Ivie replied, a little scared but curious too. "What do you think it is?" Efemena grinned. "There's only one way to find out." And with that, he grabbed Ivie's hand, and they both ran towards the forest, their hearts pounding with excitement. As they entered the forest, the humming grew louder. The trees were tall and thick, blocking out most of the sunlight. The air was cool, and the ground was covered in leaves that crunched under their feet. They walked deeper into the forest, following the sound until they reached a large, ancient tree. The tree was bigger than any they had ever seen, and its roots twisted and turned, creating a maze on the forest floor. The humming was coming from inside the tree. Efemena and Ivie looked at each other in amazement. "What do you think is inside?" Ivie whispered. Efemena, always the brave one, said, "Let's find out." He slowly approached the tree, placing his hand on the rough bark. As soon as he touched it, the humming stopped, and the ground beneath them began to shake. Suddenly, the tree started to glow, and a small door appeared at its base. Efemena and Ivie gasped in surprise. "Should we go in?" Ivie asked, her voice trembling with excitement and fear. Before Efemena could answer, the door slowly creaked open, revealing a dark tunnel that seemed to lead deep underground. Efemena, never one to back down from an adventure, took a deep breath and said, "Let's go, Ivie. We can't stop now." With their hearts racing, Efemena and Ivie stepped into the tunnel, not knowing what awaited them inside. The walls of the tunnel were covered in strange, glowing symbols that seemed to guide their way. The air was cool and filled with a faint, sweet smell, like flowers blooming in the night. As they walked deeper into the tunnel, they could hear the sound of water dripping and the soft rustle of leaves. It was as if the forest above was still alive, even underground. Suddenly, they reached a large chamber, and in the center of the chamber was a beautiful, glowing stone. It pulsed with light, and the humming sound returned, louder and clearer than ever. Efemena and Ivie stared at the stone in awe. "This must be what was making the noise," Efemena exclaimed. But as they moved closer to the stone, they noticed something else, something even more surprising. Around the stone were small, glowing creatures, no bigger than their hands. They had tiny wings and looked like they were made of light. The creatures seemed friendly, circling around the stone and singing in soft, musical voices. Efemena and Ivie watched in amazement as the creatures danced around the stone. "What are they?" Ivie asked, her eyes wide with wonder. "I don't know," Efemena replied, "but they seem happy to see us." Just then, one of the creatures flew up to Efemena and Ivie. It hovered in front of them, its light brighter than the others. It spoke in a soft, musical voice, "Welcome, children of Eku. You have found the heart of the forest. We are the guardians, and we have been waiting for you." Efemena and Ivie looked at each other, amazed. The heart of the forest. Guardians. What did it all mean? Before they could ask any questions, the creature continued, "The heart of the forest is a powerful stone that keeps the balance of nature in our land. But it is in danger. Someone is trying to steal it, and if they succeed, the entire village will be in great peril." Efemena felt a chill run down his spine. "Who would want to steal it?" he asked. The creature's light dimmed slightly. "A dark force, one that has been lurking in the shadows for a long time. It is up to you, Efemena and Ivie, to protect the heart of the forest. You are the chosen ones. Ivy looked worried. But we are just kids. How can we stop something so powerful? The creature smiled gently. You are stronger than you think. The heart of the forest chose you for a reason. But you must be brave and work together. Only then can you save your village and the forest. Efemena and Ivie stood there, taking in everything the creature had said. They knew this was going to be their biggest adventure yet, and they were determined to protect their home. But how were they going to do it? The dark force could be anywhere, and time was running out. As they stood there, the ground beneath them started to shake again, and the tunnel entrance began to close. The guardians started to fly around them in a panic. You must leave now, the creature said urgently. The dark force is coming. Without wasting a second, Efemena grabbed Ivie's hand, and they ran back towards the entrance. The tunnel was collapsing around them, but they were determined to make it out. Just as the last bit of light was about to disappear, they leaped out of the tunnel and back into the forest. But the forest was not the same. The trees were dark, the sky was cloudy, and the once peaceful village of Eku was now eerily silent. The adventure was just beginning, and Efemena and Ivie knew they had to act fast if they wanted to save their village and the heart of the forest. Efemena and Ivie stood at the edge of the forest, their hearts pounding as they looked around. The once vibrant and lively forest was now dark and still, as if a shadow had been cast over it. The birds were silent, and the wind that usually rustled the leaves had stopped. Everything felt different, as if the life had been sucked out of the land. We have to hurry, Efemena, Ivie whispered, her voice trembling with fear. The dark force is already here. We need to protect the heart of the forest. Efemena nodded, trying to stay brave. But how? We don't even know where the dark force is or what it looks like. Just then, they heard a rustling sound behind them. They spun around to see a figure emerging from the shadows. It was tall and cloaked in black, with glowing red eyes that pierced through the darkness. The figure moved slowly, and with each step, the ground seemed to tremble. Who are you? Efemena called out, trying to sound braver than he felt. The figure stopped and stared at them, its eyes narrowing. I am the one who will take the heart of the forest, it said in a voice that was cold and harsh, like the sound of cracking ice. You cannot stop me, children. The heart belongs to me now. Efemena felt a surge of anger. No. The heart belongs to the forest and our village. We won't let you take it. The figure laughed, a chilling sound that made Ivie shiver. Brave words for such small children, it sneered. But bravery won't save you. The heart's power is mine, and I will use it to cover the land in darkness. Without warning, the figure raised its hand, and a wave of dark energy shot towards them. Efemena and Ivie jumped out of the way just in time, the energy crashing into the ground where they had been standing. The force of it knocked them off their feet, and they tumbled to the ground. Ivie scrambled to her feet, her heart racing. Efemena, what do we do? We can't fight this thing on our own. Efemena, still catching his breath, looked around desperately. We have to get help. The guardians told us we need to work together. Maybe they can help us stop this dark force. But how do we call them? Ivie asked, her voice trembling. We don't even know where they are. Efemena thought for a moment, then remembered the glowing stone they had seen in the chamber. The heart of the forest. Maybe if we can get to it, we can use its power to call the guardians. The dark figure was getting closer, its red eyes glowing brighter. You cannot escape, it hissed. Give up now, and I might let you leave. Efemena grabbed Ivie's hand. Come on. We have to get back to the chamber before it's too late. With the dark figure hot on their heels, Efemena and Ivie sprinted back into the forest. The trees seemed to close in around them, and the path that had been clear before was now twisted and overgrown. But they didn't stop. They knew that the only way to save their village was to reach the heart of the forest. As they ran, the ground beneath them started to shake again, and the sky above darkened even more. The figure was gaining on them, its dark energy crackling in the air. Just when it seemed like they were about to be caught, Efemena spotted a faint glow in the distance. There! The chamber, he shouted, pulling Ivie along. They burst into the clearing where the ancient tree stood. The door at the base was still open, and the glowing symbols on the walls of the tunnel were faint but still visible. They quickly ran inside, the walls of the tunnel closing behind them as they entered. The chamber was just as they had left it, with the glowing stone at the center and the tiny, winged guardians hovering around it. The guardians looked at them with concern. "Children, the dark force is stronger than we feared," one of the guardians said. "You must act quickly." "But what can we do?" Ivie asked, tears welling up in her eyes. "We are just kids." The guardian that had spoken to them before floated closer. "The heart of the forest chose you for a reason. Its power is connected to the courage and goodness in your hearts. You can use that power to protect the land, but only if you believe in yourselves and each other." Efemena and Ivie looked at each other, then at the stone. The dark force was getting closer, and they knew they didn't have much time. Efemena took a deep breath and stepped forward, reaching out to touch the stone. As soon as his hand made contact, the stone began to glow even brighter, and a warm, comforting energy flowed through him. "Ivie, come here," he called, and Ivie quickly joined him, placing her hand on the stone as well. Together, they felt the power of the heart of the forest flowing through them, filling them with strength and courage. The chamber lit up with a brilliant light, and the guardians began to sing, their voices rising in a beautiful, powerful harmony. The dark figure burst into the chamber, but as it did, the light from the stone intensified, pushing it back. "No," the figure screamed, its red eyes flickering. "This cannot be." Efemena and Ivie held onto the stone, their hearts full of determination. They knew that they had to protect the heart of the forest, no matter what. The light from the stone continued to grow, enveloping the entire chamber and driving the dark force back. But the battle was far from over. The dark force was powerful, and it wasn't going to give up easily. Efemena and Ivie knew they had to stay strong and keep fighting if they wanted to save their village and the forest they loved. Efemena and Ivie stood together, their hands still touching the glowing stone. The warm energy from the heart of the forest filled their bodies with strength, but the dark figure was far from defeated. It roared in anger, its red eyes blazing as it tried to push through the light. "You think you can stop me?" the dark figure hissed. "I have existed for centuries. Your power is nothing compared to mine." But Efemena and Ivie didn't back down. They could feel the strength of the forest within them, and they knew that as long as they believed in themselves and each other, they could protect their village. The guardians' voices grew louder, filling the chamber with their beautiful song. The light from the stone expanded, surrounding the dark figure and trapping it in a glowing sphere. The figure thrashed and screamed, trying to break free, but the light held it firmly. "You cannot defeat the power of the forest," one of the guardians said, its tiny wings fluttering. "The heart of the forest is bound to the goodness in the world, and as long as there is light in people's hearts, darkness will never win." Efemena squeezed Ivie's hand. "We can do this. We just have to keep believing." Ivie nodded, her fear replaced by a fierce determination. Together, they poured all their hope, courage, and love into the stone. The glowing sphere around the dark figure began to shrink, drawing the dark energy into itself. "No," the figure screamed. "This isn't over. I will return." With one final roar, the dark figure was pulled into the sphere, and the light from the heart of the forest exploded in a brilliant flash. When the light faded, the chamber was still, and the dark figure was gone. Efemena and Ivie stood there, their hearts pounding, as the guardians flew around them in celebration. The forest outside seemed to come alive again, the trees swayed gently in the breeze, the birds began to sing, and the air was filled with the sweet scent of flowers. "You did it," one of the guardians said, smiling at them. "The dark force has been sealed away, and the forest is safe once more." Efemena and Ivie smiled at each other, feeling proud of what they had done. They had protected the heart of the forest and saved their village. The power of the heart was strong, but it was their courage and unity that had truly made the difference. "We couldn't have done it without each other," Efemena said. "And without believing in ourselves," Ivie added. The guardians nodded. "Remember, children, the power of the heart is always within you. Never doubt the strength of your own hearts." Efemena and Ivie thanked the guardians and made their way back to the village. As they walked through the now peaceful forest, they thought about everything they had learned from their adventure. Efemena and Ivie realized that working together and supporting each other helped them face the challenges and defeat the dark force. What do you think of the story? Drop your thoughts in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed this adventure, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Hit that notification bell so you can get notified